Hi, this is John Barnes, and you're listening to Kop On.
Robin, you're there.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Robin. Great to have you with us. Great to have you with us. How are you doing? It's been a long time.
I
Everything's
know
all right?
it's been a while. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Everything's good, thanks. Yeah, exciting pre-season coming up. Work's been good. I think all the banter against Liverpool stopped on my end because they all got fed up of having a got 11 because they know they can't. So happy days.
Robin works in the NHS, right? You're the NHS hero.
Yes. I've moved to a charity hospital now, but we see NHS patients as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, very good. Excellent stuff. Wonderful stuff. Full of respect. And I don't know. I imagine your colleagues, if they support other teams, who do they support? Your colleagues?
Arsenal, Chelsea, mostly, and quite a few Liverpool fans.
Excellent stuff. Because I wanted to ask you about the rivals and stuff today, actually. But first, I was just talking about the double header games tomorrow. You might be able to see it on the screen, hopefully. That if I scroll down, you can see it all. But basically 2 games in a day. We can have a look at the expected available squad. Alisson with a big asterisk next to him. He might be still out because of the old personal reasons. We don't know. We're sending all our best.
We still don't know what our reason is, do we?
No, exactly. Which is a good thing. I like the way that things can remain private. Even with such public figures. So, but we're just sending all the love and best. Best fingers crossed and everything for Alisson. Hope everything's okay. So we've got Mamardashvili, Woodman, and Pesci. Or I believe it could be Pesci, like Joe Pesci. It's got the S and the C the other way around.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it's some kind of Hungarian name where you pronounce it. I've got no idea how you pronounce that. But anyway,
we'll find out this season.
I'm sure we will. So the goalkeepers will probably be Mamardashvili, Woodman, and Pesci. We'll assume that Alisson's still away. I'm not sure. And then defenders Van Dijk, Konate, Bradley, Frimpong, Kirkes, Robertson, Samikas, and Stevenson. Midfielders Gravenberg, McAllister, Soboslai, Jones, Endo, Elliott, and Nioni. And forwards Salah, Wirtz, Gakpo, Nunez, Ekitike, Doak, and Ungamoha. Robin, it's been absolutely ages since we spoke, so we haven't had the chance to speak about the new folks, the new people on the squad, on that squad list. Choose one of the new people, and anyone that you want to talk about. Who jumps at you? Who do you really want to talk about?
Well, the most obvious has to be Florian Wirtz, right? He is the one that comes with the most promise. I've read lots of stuff about him. I watch clips as well, but sometimes clips you can't really tell and judge how well they'll do. In the Premier League for a club like Liverpool with that expectation and pressure, it's hard to say. But from all accounts I've read so far, he's been talked up as going to be a contender for Ballon d'Or level. So that's what we're being told. Whether that materializes or not, I don't know, but it's a good conversation to have to that level. Obviously, I've lost a little bit of respect about Ballon d'Or, about how Salah's been missed out in the past for that, but nonetheless, it still shows a good pedigree. He should be able to do really well from that, and I'm excited to see that. And from the little cameo performance that we've seen so far, he's been very composed, good ball control, gets out of tight corners very well. His passing, the weight of passing is decent, and his awareness is good. And that's one of the things I've also read a lot about him. About it's not just his goal contributions and his assists and his running. He's thinking 2 steps ahead. His decision making, his pass, his awareness of what people are doing around him, that's his biggest asset. And when you have that level of intelligence, I think you can be a great player. You don't have to be fast or best at tackling or scoring lots of goals, but if you think smart, then you unleash and unlock everybody around you as well. So to their potential, and I think that's great.
It's so exciting, man. It's so exciting. If I could afford any of these new kits, I would get Wirtz on the back. It's incredible to think that he's been through an ACL injury already and come back from a lengthy, and is just still so damn good. Reporters in Germany called him the best German player this century, which is very exciting considering all the great German talents that have come out of that country this century, being I don't know who springs to mind. Joshua Kimmich, for example, Thomas Müller. They've produced some great players.
Absolutely.
Have Germany.
And it's testament as well, because he's such an early age. It's almost foolish to say comments like that, because he's only 20, 21. I forget how young he is still.
He's 22, I think. He's
22 then.
Yeah.
So to call him the best player at the age of 22, younger than Elliot, that's a brave call, right? So he's obviously shown enough to make people believe that this is going to be a superstar.
He's massive, and he's at the age of 22. Sorry, he's already won the German Player of the Year twice. Not the young Player of the Year, but the Player of the Year. Extraordinary.
Absolutely. So you just think if he can be like what Kevin De Bruyne was to City, you can see a period of dominance built around him, because when Kevin De Bruyne, what is his best, he was one of the best in the world at what he does. It's so good to see. And if Wirtz going to be that version of that, then we've got a good period ahead of us. And it draws and attracts others as well. So it's all positive influence by having players in this team. People don't want to leave, and more people want to come and join us. And it's nice to see, people like Ekatike and Isak and other players like Wirtz are saying, I don't want to go anywhere else. Liverpool is the team that I want. And we didn't experience that for the last 10 years. It's nice that people are starting to feel like that, because they feel as if this is their destination they want to end up at.
Absolutely. No, it's totally mad. It's totally mad. We've got people in the chat. We've got people coming in. Bongo O'Malley is in the chat. It's Bongo O'Malley saying, always, because we had a chat with Bongo last time. He was asking what the pronunciation of Ngumoha is, and I may well have butchered it just then as well. And Bongo is rightly saying that it's not pedantry but respect to try and get it right, and I totally agree with that, which is why I'm always talking about pronunciation and trying to get it as right as possible. Bongo, he or she, they have seen on YouTube that it's Nomuha, like Omaha, but Nomuha. But I'm not sure where you get that from, because according to my research, Bongo, it's Ngumoha, and it's from the southeast region of Nigeria, is the sort of etymology of that family name. I'm going to say I don't know, and I would love somebody who's from Nigeria to let me know.
My office partner is Nigerian, born and bred in Nigeria. So I'll ask her, can you record this for us?
Thank you very much. Oh, man, there you go. I invited the right people on. But what about him this season? I mean, talking about future Ballon d'Or winners. And Ngumoha said, I don't know if you saw that in an interview, Robin, he said himself that he wants to be known as one of the best players who's ever played the game, which is quite a nice ambition for a 16-year-old.
Can't get any higher than that, right? Better than Pele, than Messi, better than all the rest that you know.
Well, for that, he would need about 7 Ballon d'Ors, wouldn't he? So, I don't know. Can you see him getting there? I mean, how excited are you about Rio?
Very, but reserved still, because it's early days. We've had so many superstars. Do you remember when Ben Woodward, the Welsh striker that scored, the youngest goal that Liverpool ever scored, and I'm probably saying his name wrong. I
can't remember his name as well. Ben Wood something, wasn't it? Ben
Woodburn or
Woodburn. That's it. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, Ben Woodburn.
Jordan Ives and all these other great players that I thought I was going to go on to have great futures, and they never really happens. So I think this age is very important in how they develop. I know we've spoken about it on the chat as well, that it's how you develop them physically and mentally, and how to protect them against distractions, especially which can come at an early age with money and freedom and fame, and how grounded he is to continue training, continue learning, continue developing his muscles and his strength, and listening to all the advice he gets to us. So it can only be good if he keeps his mindset correct. He's at a starting point better than most of the footballers with the talent he already has. It's just down to the team and these influences and his family around him to make sure if he still continues to be grounded and humble and work hard and naturally progress. And I think the Liverpool coaching and management team will manage his minutes and manage his development accordingly, but it needs the input from him as well. He can easily have burnout, like we've seen so many big players, and by the age of 27, 28, they just never recapture that moment, or they've lost the speed, or they've had too many injuries, and they can't sustain what they've had. So it's exciting. It's nice to see he's got that arrogance to think that he's going to be the best, because I think to be the best, you've got to have that arrogance. And I don't mean in a bad way, but when you can deliver on the pitch like Ronaldo or Zlatan, it adds them to another echelon above everybody else. And I think if he's thinking like that, then it's probably the right mindset to be the best.
I mean, absolutely right. I actually used to teach a very famous footballer's mother. Used to teach English to her in France, one of the most famous French footballers. And it's something that, I learned a little bit about the journey they go on in order to get to even to be professional, let alone to be a top professional. And it's extremely hard, even from a very young age. So you would think that Rio, having got so far already, he's already got that mentality, he's already got that support, and he just needs to keep it going. But there's something about, that we've seen, you're right, to exercise caution, because, we've seen so many before to slip away from the path to the very, very top, which they could have been on if everything had worked together.
And I think in this team as well, if he continues to play on the left wing, the conveyor belt of people ahead of him, whether it's Wirtz or Gapco or maybe Ekitike, I think that's about right, because it means that he'll have managed minutes because there are more established players currently ahead of him. And it's up to him to be able to show that skill, to be able to convince the manager that actually I deserve to play as well. So that will push him for competition, but rightly so. We're not over-reliant on somebody like him to produce the goods, because there are other players that we're expecting to be able to carry that mantle for a while. So I think that the balance is decent at the moment. And I think clearing the pathway with Diaz gone helps him a little bit, because he's that one step closer to the front door.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. I totally agree.
Also, it'd be interesting to see if he can play other positions, because at the moment we've predominantly seen him last season and this season on the left wing, cutting inside, right? So as he develops, and we also see that he's got decent both feet, so he can switch from left to right pretty comfortably as well. So that might open him up to more of that attacking third rather than being shoehorned into the left wing, and that just opens up a lot more options for us and problems for the opposition.
100%, and we'll see. I mean, in 2 years, Mo Salah's not good. He's going to be out of a deal. Perhaps he can play on the right. Needs to spend these next couple of years, learning that position. That's a very good idea. And interestingly, Arne Slot said that the most important thing for young players is to produce it every single time. For Liverpool, consistency is the key, which is very hard for young players, and so I think that's again.
And the ones that do produce it consistently, they're the one that reach the top. They're the ones that are going to be superb. So it's down to his mindset and how often he can do that, because that's just dedication, practice, and focus. Absolutely.
And he used the word balance before, which brings me on to something that strikes me from that list that's still on screen about Liverpool squad that's available for our 2 friendlies tomorrow. The balance on the right hand side of defence between Bradley and Frimpong, because Bradley came through last year. Hello Alex on TikTok, by the way. I just figured out that TikTok is working, which is very exciting. So we're on YouTube and TikTok at the same time. Holy smokes! Get your comments in. That balance between Bradley and Frimpong. Bradley came in last season, of course, with Trent, and he did really well. He was arguably better around about the time of the Real Madrid game. But now we've got Bradley and Frimpong, and for me, these are 2 players who I'm expecting great things from this season. I don't think either of them are going to let us down. I'm just super excited, really, about it.
You're expecting great things. What I'm finding to understand is what to expect from them, because I don't know which one's the defender and which one's the attacker, or are they both defenders, or they're both attackers, or we're going to play Szoboszlai at the back, right back. I don't know what's going on. So it seems like one of them should be the right back, but they're both very attack minded. I don't know how this team currently as it stands now without any other additions, how it's going to line up. We've all had theories, but it seems quite attack minded, doesn't it? And it doesn't seem like we've got the right sense.
I'd be very.
So I'm just keen to see how it develops, because I think all good coaches and all good coaching teams, every year they evolve. They're trying to look at where their spaces are, where their gaps are, what's the style, what's the current trends of teams playing, and how do we make that one step better? And a few years later, other teams perhaps catch up and play tiki-taka football, or play out from the back, or whatever it may be. But you always have to be at the front foot. So I want to see what kind of involvement we have from last season's title-winning team to this crop of players, and how they'll be asked to play. Because we had a lot of control, especially at the start of first half of last season. Everybody spoke about it's not the heavy metal football anymore. It's more controlled, but it looks as though we bought just loads of like heavy metal guitarists now, and how is that all going to work now? So maybe.
Well, there's a good video about with Rio Ferdinand. As much as I dislike that, I don't know, nincompoop, let's call him, and Arne Slot talking about the tactics from last season. And when you think about it, well, in that video, they show Connor Bradley especially, and Trent sometimes, making underlapping runs on the inside of the right winger being Mo Salah, and that took a couple of defenders away. So if you got Connor Bradley running all the way to the other box, to the opposition edge of the box, then the other team, they have to have some players who follow Connor Bradley, because they can't just let someone run into the box. And that just takes, and it gives Mo an extra 5 or 10 yards to work in, and we know how dangerous he can be then. But as Mo Salah himself said towards the end of last season, teams became wise to that, and they just sort of, let someone else do it. They kept 2 men on Mo Salah at all time, in any game, at least 2 men, which is what you need to stop him. And so we stopped.
How did that work out for Salah for this last season?
Pardon?
How did that work out for Mo Salah last season?
Well, at the end of the season, he got, he didn't, his stats weren't great. It was like 2 goal involvements in the last 6 matches or something. Yeah. So I'm wondering if there's a flip that can happen, in that Mo Salah can, if he's being marked by 2 or 3, then Mo Salah can drift infield, and we'll have more of an overlapping run, because with Frimpong and Bradley, they're both attacking. They're both very dangerous in attacking areas as well. I love Frimpong, by the way. My Lord, what wonderful player we've got there. And Bradley as well. I love them both. Fantastic. So if we got them on the overlap, and Mo Salah cuts in, and the 2 or 3 players are going to stick with Mo Salah, then that'll leave Frimpong and Bradley completely free to get to the byline and pull it back for Alexander Isak to score.
Yeah. And when Mo Salah cuts inside, you think that's when he's going to do the most damage. He has more of the field and more vision to pass left or go back out right, or shoot himself. So you want him to be there or thereabouts, rather than hugging the byline and crossing the ball in, which is still very good at doing, but he's easily our best finisher, so we want him at the danger areas. But you're right, there's options, right? And as a team plays, if Rio Ferdinand can work out the tactics, you'd like to think that the coaches of other clubs, who are the professionals of that job, will be able to figure it out, even though I might not be able to see it as a layman, but the other managers will, and they will counteract that. So it's having a plan B, plan C, plan D, even within one match, that they can go to and keep the teams guessing. So, and if you've got the quality of the players that we seem to have, then no matter where that fluidity is, we create chances. So you're not just solely relying upon Salah to do all the magic. There's a number of them that can get you. And I think that's exciting part. That is exciting part. But with both of them so attacking, are you worried, Owen, about our defensive responsibilities on the right side?
But this is the thing that I've been, the drum I've been banging for ages, is all about, the cover. I think Szoboszlai is going to be hugely important to cover the spaces behind, let's say, for example, if it's Frimpong and Salah, And he's got the legs to do it. He's got the engine to do it. On the left-hand side, however, if you're going to play Gravenberch in the 6 and McAllister on the left-hand side, with Wirtz somewhere, then neither McAllister nor Wirtz, if for example he was playing as a left-sided 8, which I don't think he will, but McAllister doesn't have the pace to cover the big spaces in behind. And indeed, AC Milan scored a goal because Kerkez was up attacking, and they just countered down the right wing, and it was very easy. They got loads of space. So I am concerned about it. I really am concerned. I want another ball busting midfielder to cover that space on the left hand side, or to cover when Soboslai is not there. But having said that, then who are you going to drop? Are you going to drop Gravenberch? Are you going to drop McAllister, 2 of the best players we have, just to cover the defensive things? I don't know. I don't think so. So I don't know what it is, but Virgil and Ibu Konate have a huge role to play. I'm not sure that either of them are 100% trustworthy, because Virgil, in terms of like having pace to stop counterattacks, that's all I'm talking about. Because Konate can ping something, he can get an injury, he can ping a hamstring or something like that. His body isn't extremely robust. Whereas Virgil van Dijk, he might not get a muscle injury, but he's 34 years old, and he's certainly slowed down from the speed machine he was like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I am actually concerned about it.
So a few years ago, when we had Robertson and Trent at the prime for us, and they were bombing up and down, we had that luxury of cover with Henderson and Fabinho and Milner to a point as well. So we had that safeguard that both the fullbacks can sometimes push forward and we'll still be okay. And at that time, our defenders, whether it's Joe Gomez or Van Dijk, were very, very speedy, and it worked. So you're right, it is a bit concerning. And if we were to get another 6 in, and we don't rely upon McAllister being 6, because when he was a 6 in his first season, he was a bit underwhelming, wasn't he? And we all knew that that's not his natural position. And last season he proved how good he can be. So we don't want to rely upon McAllister as a holding midfielder, but to play 2 holding midfielders would obviously mean that we have to sacrifice somebody else. But I also feel it's horses for courses. You don't have to play 2 holding midfielders every single game or every part of a match. And it's having that tactical nous and awareness that when do I need it, when do I not need it, and how much homework do I do about the club that I'm playing against, that perhaps it's time to put in 2 number 6s, or ask Szoboszlai or somebody to do a role, or Curtis Jones to do a role, or Endo as well. So I think I mean, if somebody goes off, like Gravenberch, especially if Gravenberch has an extended period of absence, do we have enough quality for a sustained period of time to not drop points? And I think that's the key part.
It's a very, very good question. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Another alternative solution to not being caught out so much at the back is to make sure we only attack with 1 fullback at a time. Mm-hmm. So if Kerkez goes up, then the right back stays in defence or stays deeper. But I'm not sure. All of that would be down to Arne, as is the idea of having 2 holding players, which he did quite a lot last season. And, it's down to Arne, those kind of things. But there are some solutions in the squad, and we'll trust him that he can find a solution. What I found reassuring was that he mentioned, in his post-match interview after both friendlies against AC Milan and Yokohama, how dodgy we looked and how we've got something to fix, and that's something that he's just not happy about at all, which is great. Because I think under Jurgen, a lot of the time he was like, nah, the players are great. Of course they are. Whereas, Slot is like, oh no, hang on, we've got a bit of an issue here. We need to fix that. All right, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about the domino effect. Just that we've got this reporter, what's his name, Keith Downey, there you go. This is from Reddit, as you're looking at this on YouTube and on TikTok. Šeško bid has been placed by Newcastle United. This was 1 day ago. Apparently this bid was rejected, but Newcastle have come back with an improved offer around about 80, 90 million. So I don't know how much for Šeško. It's a Sunday, and maybe everyone's at home having a Sunday roast. Who knows? Everybody involved. But if Newcastle get Šeško and Visser, maybe both of them, that means Brentford need to sign a striker, because the Brentford have come out saying that they're happy to let Visser go if they buy an alternative first. But if Newcastle manage to get Šeško and or Visser, then surely they're going to sell Isak to us, Robin. Is that your belief? Is that where you stand on the saga?
If they get both of them, it seems pretty likely, right? If they get one of them, I'm not sure. Because when they were in for Ekitike, at that moment, did they believe that Liverpool were coming for Isak? Maybe they did know that, or did they have the intention that we're going to play Isak and Ekitike in the same team together? I don't know. I do feel as though they were aware of his reasons and his desires to leave the club. Whether or not they accept it or believe that it's going to materialize, another thing. But if they're going to get Šeško and Visser, then it'd be hard to convince all of them to be in the team and not be playing, because Isak would still be number one, and you don't buy a 70-80 million pound player to be a bench warmer. So it seems like it. I'm not quite sure what to make of all the Liverpool pulled out of the deal. I think it might be just all tactical, or Newcastle maybe asking for that because they don't want to be pulled down with their pants for prices for anybody else that they're interested in.
Well, Liverpool haven't pulled out of the deal. I think this is something that it was a headline on the BBC that Liverpool have pulled out of the deal of for Isak. But then I think they changed that headline after because it's not that we haven't actually pulled out. We just said, well, there's the offer, and Newcastle rejected it, and we said, okay, well, if you change your mind, it's still there, that kind of thing. And I wonder if Ben Jacobs was right, because he was speculating that Liverpool imagined to put in 110 million offer, and they imagined that Newcastle would come back at them and say, well, will you, can you do 130? And then Liverpool would say, oh, all right, let's do a deal at 120 then. And then they shake hands and everything's done. But Newcastle was so firm in their denial, in their rebuttal of that original bid, then, so Liverpool were like, oh, okay, oh, well, never mind. Good luck, lads. We'll see you later. Just that's the offer. We're going away. Just come back. Our door is shut, but not locked. So just come and knock on the door if you want to open the negotiations.
So, Owen, have you heard anything about some of the negotiations or some of the transfer handling is done by the Saudi board rather than the management team in Newcastle itself? Have you heard talks about that?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, shit show is the first word that brings to mind, that comes to mind, springs to mind. An absolute shit show, because they don't have a director of football. So Eddie Howe was supposed to be doing everything, manage the team, take them away to Asia, and look at, and scout the whole world of leagues and every player in every league, all the major players, and have a handle on who the agents are and how to negotiate and who's available and at what price, and which clubs are in financial trouble. So what's a good deal that Newcastle can get? You need a director of football in 2025, and they don't have one. So when Eddie Howe, who's a friend of Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards, had this bid for Isak, he might have been umming and ahhing about it and said, well, yeah, maybe. But then the Saudi owner flew into Newcastle's, right, I'm taking over now, played, Billy Big Nads or whatever. And, and they've now taken over. So then you get into this whole diplomacy thing, because you're now not dealing with a football club chairman. You're dealing with someone who's very well connected with society, with the Saudi society and government. And is there a different way that you have to negotiate with these people, that you have to, I don't know, flatter them? You have to make them think they're in control. You have to do this, that, or the other. I don't know.
Perhaps maybe there's a cultural difference there, and I'm sure there's enough knowledge in the management structure of Liverpool to know that, because it's an international ownership. So I'm sure they'll know that about the cultural differences. But what's interesting from the Saudi handlers is that, do they understand what the cultural differences between handling a business and handling a football club is? So if you were to strictly deny and say somebody, no, it's not going to be happening, is that for the purpose of driving the price up, or are they just that adamant and headstrong to think, no, he's our contracted player, he's got 3 years left on us, we'll decide what's going to happen to him, and when we mean no, we mean no, don't come back again, and we would deal with whatever Isak has to go through on our end? Because the fallout from that, as we know from players like Coutinho and Suarez and all these players in the past, and Mascherano as well, that it destabilizes, and the harmony and the morale of the whole dressing room completely disappears. You have players siding with the want away because they feel sorry for them, and they might see some of their own future in what's being played out if they wanted to leave. And you have other players that might feel let down and angry by the player. Oh, why are you trying to do this to us? I thought we had a team. But whatever it is, it's not going to be pleasant for the teams and the fans as well. So do the owners understand that actually I'm creating a problem for the rest of the squad here? It might be time that I've got to cut my losses. And as many clubs in the past have had to get rid of their best players to another club, it's part and parcel of football. It happens. They're not the first team, and they won't be the last. It's only teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona have not really experienced that too much in the past, but everybody else, all of us have. So Newcastle may not have that cultural awareness, or they may have the stubbornness to think, actually, nobody does this to us. We're the richest club in the world. We buy other players. Well, they may feel like that. We buy whatever we want to buy because we've got the money for it. Why would anybody want to leave us?
It's a very good question. I put a picture of the owner on the screen, Yasser Al Rumayyan, who is the head of the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, and therefore is also the head of Newcastle United FC. And he's the guy apparently who's flown in and is now trying to get a strategy in place. And you would think, it being the 3rd of August, that they would have had a strategy in place all this time.
So that's the Crown Prince, right, of Saudi, right?
Oh man, let me check. I don't know.
That's Prince Bin.
Let me check.
Yeah, I think he's the Crown Prince of so I think whoever's handling it is part of his family.
Right, I'm going to Google it. I've got no idea. Yes, he just says here he's a Saudi Arabian businessman who is the governor of the Public Investment Fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Yeah, so I think that picture is Mohammed bin Salman. So he's basically the ruler of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, excuse me, my Google imaging was not correct. You're absolutely right. This is Yasser Al Rumayyan. Excuse me. No offense to anybody meant to. Excuse me for that. It was just a mistake on my behalf. This is Yasser Al Rumayyan. He said he's a Saudi Arabian businessman. This is the man who's flown in. Excuse me for not knowing my Saudi politicians, government officials. There you go. And he also chairs the state-owned petroleum company, Saudi Aramco, and Saudi Arabia's largest mining company, Ma'aden. So there you go. So
that's interesting. So he's a successful businessman in other industries and fields. So what qualities and qualifications would he have to understand the inner workings of a multinational football team? He may be super smart, or he might have good people around him and consultants around him to tell him what's right and what's wrong. We don't know that. But it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right from all the other dealings of transfers that we have for all other clubs around the world. It doesn't sound normal. It doesn't seem normal. He might be the exception, but whatever it is for Newcastle, I think time will tell. I think it's funny that Isak is now returning back to the squad, and
he started training with them again. Yes, he's going to start tomorrow on Monday, I believe. So
it's interesting if we'll ever find out how those conversations will go, how will those training ground talks will go, what would the coaching staff say to him, what will he say to them? I don't know. What's the body language going to be like? Is it going to be an acceptance that I've got to perhaps see out this half of the season, this season, and see what happens next year. Who knows? Or maybe they make a deal with him, say play one more season for us and then you go. Or do they say that let us get the replacements in and then we'll send you going?
Well, Lee Ryder, who is some kind of journalist in the know in the Northeast, he tweeted yesterday that Newcastle had Benjamin Šeško's name put to them at a press conference, and there was no denial. So they're certainly in for Šeško, it seems, along with Manchester United, and he has to make the right decision. And then, it's Isak.
Can I ask your opinion on that? So Šeško has got a decision to make. If those two teams are to believe to be made an offer, putting the tribal rivalries that we have aside, where do you think Šeško, who should he choose if both the salary offers and the wage packages are similar?
It's a great question. Hang on, let me just share this picture of Isak so that everybody knows exactly. If they're just joining the stream, you're very welcome. Who the heck we're talking about? So Šeško, where would I go if I was him? I mean, the thing is, we've all got biases in our brains, and it's very hard to switch them off. So instantly, my instant reaction is to say, well, of course you shouldn't join Manchester United, but I think the United have made two brilliant signings, Cunha and Mbeumo are two excellent signings. They haven't fixed the big problem, which is in goal, but and central defence. But the big problem is in goal with Onana, who's just not good enough, unfortunately, and nor is their backup goalkeeper Bayindir. So that's the big problem. But I think United are actually quite an attractive team to join in a sense, because expectation is on the floor after losing to Spurs and with no European football. They've signed Cunha and Mbeumo, two great signings who are going to do well, and they've got 15th as what they need to improve upon. So it is an attractive proposition. On the other hand, how attractive is Newcastle? Newcastle is also very attractive because you've got Champions League football. You have a fan base who are fantastic. You just saw them as we did in the League Cup final. And, we know they've got a fabulous fan base. And they're a team on the up. They've got massive wealth. And they're looking for someone he's going to be guaranteed a starting spot at Newcastle, and you get to be a hero. And I think this is something that number 9s traditionally like being, is the hero, is at the center of the attention.
I think those are really good points, but you can argue those points for both those teams. As much as we hate to say it, United's following, Man United's following is very large and can be very vocal at times, especially the worldwide appeal that they have. They also love a hero as well, and he's also stepping into a pretty decent squad. They've got a decent squad. The problem that they have is they've never known how to use that squad, those group of players. They've never been able to find a formula that works. But there's good players there, and money's always there. Man United recklessly give money to players that we know about. So, I mean, I would agree he should join Newcastle, but there's that pull of it being Man United that maybe he still might go for. I don't know. But I think this season, pre-season, some of the games that Man United have played, they seem a little bit different. They seem a bit more steely, more determined. And he's had his first pre-season underneath the belt, and he's always said that he wanted to work with the club through pre-season, and Man United didn't give him the opportunity when they poached him from Sporting. But now he's got that pre-season under him. We wanted him as our own manager at one point in time because we thought he was good enough. So I think he's got the manager, Amram, he's got something about him that I think we'll see the best of him this year. But I'm just worried that Man United might just click, and they might not be challenging for the titles, but there might be like a top 8 team and then push for a top 6 and top 4 eventually, because it's hard for a club of that size to not return back sooner or later. And you're right, those 2 signings that they made were good signings. I mean, there were times we were talking about those 2 players for Liverpool, weren't we? So for them to go to United, they've obviously strengthened there, but they need more in the right areas as well. I think their holding midfielders are also not very good. So the midfield is either too slow or weak or just not that consistent. And I think they've tried. So there's some good players there, but but I think they need a bit more.
Absolutely. All right. Have you got time to go through a couple more things, Robin?
Yeah, of course, no problem.
Great stuff. Because now we're talking about other teams. We're talking about United. We're talking about Newcastle. I want to talk about the rest of the league and just have a quick little recap about some of the major moves that you may or may not have missed. Everybody, the listeners, the viewers, everybody. Just to say, we getting more comments in on YouTube, which is wonderful stuff. Gary Richards summed it up. He just said Newcastle are a basket case. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But beautifully said. And we've got Graham Rogers in the chat as well. Hello, Graham. He said, Owen, your hair is getting so long. I knew you had a bit of hippie in you. A bit. Peace and love, man. Okay, let's go. Peace and love. Yeah, it's true. I do have a bit of hippie in me. I do appreciate the peace and love sentiment. It's much better than other sentiments, hate and war. No, thank you. Yeah, why the hell not? Arsenal then. Arsenal have lost Jorginho, Nathan Butler Oyedeji, Elian Quesada Thorne. They've released those. And Kieran Tierney's gone. Raheem Sterling's gone. Nato has gone back to Bournemouth. Nuno Tavares has transferred to Lazio. Marquinhos. That's the other Marquinhos, not the PSV Marquinhos, who's gone back to Brazil. Kepa Arrizabalaga has come in from Chelsea. Interesting. I think it's a loan. I can't remember. But he's been loaned out.
I think they bought him for 5 million.
Okay, excuse me. Yeah. Right, okay. So he's in from Chelsea. Tomiyasu's gone. Zubamendi is in. Norgard is in. Madueke is in. Christian Mosquera, defender, has been brought in from Valencia. And, of course, Victor Gyökeres has been brought in from Sporting. They've been busy. Arteta's been busy. There's something about it, Robin. I'd love to have your opinion on it, but there's something for me that is like there's just a thin layer of rice paper between Arsenal and meltdown. And even though they've strengthened this summer, I do think that they're going to be a stronger outfit next season. If at any point in this season they go on these mini runs of like 2 or 3 games where it doesn't go well, it will be a meltdown with Arsenal. I mean, they're a very emotionally unstable club anyway. But the fact that this appears to be like Arteta's last chance saloon because they finally got the number 9 in, and they need a trophy after finishing second 4 times in a row, I believe it is. That pressure that they need to win something this season might be their undoing. What do you reckon?
Good point. There is a lot of pressure on them to try and build. I don't think they expected us to leapfrog them last year, so that hurts them. They've had good signings, but they've had a couple of confusing signings. So, first of all, with Victor Gyökeres, yes, they needed a striker since God knows when. But here we, as the champions, are talking about 4 or 5 players that can all have a very attacking role to contribute to the goals. With Arsenal, yes, they've got Bukayo Saka, maybe high covered, but is Gyökeres the other solution? Is that all? So, and Gyökeres, there's lots of big clubs that were fishing for strikers this summer. There didn't seem to be that many takers for him. So I don't know if he had his mind set on Arsenal. But a lot of clubs looked at him and they said, no, thanks. Even like Man United, who the manager knows very well, having played with him, they didn't seem to be too interested in him. And they paid similar kind of monies for Mboyo and Cunha, right? So I don't know if Arsenal have settled for whatever's available rather than going out and buying the best that they can do. He might prove us wrong. He might get 40 goals. Who knows, right? He's probably got that in him. And the other one I don't fully understand is Madueke. I don't understand why they bought him because one of my colleagues who's an avid Chelsea fan who watches every single match, says he is very, very good on the right-hand side, but he is rubbish on the left. Every time he played on the left-hand side for Chelsea last season, my colleague would do his hearing. He just think, why are we playing him on the left? He is pants, he's rubbish, he can't do anything. He has a non-game. On the right, he's very good when he cuts in. But how are Arsenal going to develop him as a player? I don't see him playing there instead of Saka. And have you paid that much money for a number 2 in that area when you've got other areas that you should be focusing on? I don't fully understand that one. And Kepa, I think he's just a joke of a keeper. He might have one good season, but as a backup, it's a strange one. I do think you need 2 good goalkeepers. But who knows? I mean, that's not the biggest problem. But I think they've got the bones of a very good team. Do they have the belief if they have that wobble? History has shown when they've had that wobble, they've had that emotive meltdown, the fans go crazy, and that trust is lost. And I think that's quite detrimental to their clubs, and they all get their head down and morale down, and the belief goes a little bit. You see that happening nearly every year. Maybe they fixed it. I don't know what to make it. It's another unknown, just like Man City is another unknown. So this is Noni Stats.
Yeah, excuse me. Sorry, my internet is playing up. I do hope it's okay for the viewer on YouTube. Do let me know in the comments. Yeah, Noni Madueke scouting report from FBref.com. I have a new theory about English players. That English players generally are really, really good at one thing only on a football field. And Noni Madueke fits into that, because if you look, he's in the 99th percentile for progressive carries. He's incredible at receiving the ball and running at least 10 meters with it, running with the ball. Very, very good. In terms of dribbling, actually taking people on, it drops down to the 76th percentile. In terms of passing, it drops down to the 58th percentile. And, there are certain key stats that are just not very good for Madueke, but he's extremely good at carrying the ball forward towards the opposition's goal. So that's something that he does. But yeah, I like, it's a signing. You want your signings to terrify people, don't you? If Liverpool get Isak, that'll terrify everybody. Somebody on David Ornstein's tweets that I saw that Isak was returning to training, some of the comments in there were like, thank God Newcastle have saved football because they're stopping Isak from going to Liverpool. These are the kind of opposing fans' views who are just, terrified of Isak. But I'm not terrified of Madueke. Good player, don't get me wrong. He's good. He's a sort of 6 or 7 out of 10 player. Occasionally 8. Very, very occasionally a 9 out of 10. But mostly he's sort of like, I would say, a solid 7 out of 10. 6.5, 7 out of 10. He's very good at running with the ball going forward. He's okay at many other things, but only okay.
If you look at the players that Chelsea have given to Arsenal, so whether that might be Jorginho or Kepa or Gallas or
Sterling,
or who's the other Brazilian that played?
Jorginho?
No, went back to Fulham for a little bit.
What position?
Winger, attacker.
Willian,
that's it. So these are all players that played for Chelsea, but Chelsea were happy to let them go. And Chelsea and Arsenal, over a period of time, have been competing for the same kind of place, aren't they? They're all pushing for the top 4 or the title. So you wouldn't really let one of your better players go and join your opposition unless you felt that's not a threat to us anymore. You can go. You'd never see us selling Gravenberch or McAllister to Man City. Those kind of deals will not happen, because why would you strengthen the opposition? But Chelsea regularly do that, and I feel they do that because they don't think he has a lot left to offer, and Arsenal seem to always fall for it. So I don't know if he's another one of those players that Arsenal will go and buy. And you're right, it doesn't fill you with fear, whereas the players that we bought this time around think actually these are some of the best in the business. So Arsenal, again, seems like they're settling, and they might prove to be amazing players like James Milner. He proved to be a lot better than any of us Liverpool fans had anticipated, and the longevity and the influence he had at the club were amazing. So every now and then it can turn out great, but Arsenal have had a lot of these Chelsea signings that perhaps haven't gone on to be the player that they thought they would be. even Peter Cech, who was a great player for Arsenal, Chelsea were ready to get rid of him. They thought that they had one better in Courtois. So I don't think Chelsea would have sold Noni unless they felt as though he'll be another flop there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's move on to Chelsea. Let's talk about them. You're absolutely right. And Kai Havertz is another one, of course. Yeah, who hasn't done great at Arsenal at all, really. I mean, he's been okay. But there you go. Brentford, Brighton. Brighton doing loads of transfers as usual. Players that players from Verona. Young Do Young from John Hannah Citizen. Incredible. I love Brentford. I love seeing who they sign, from all these leagues and clubs that, even though I've been obsessed with football since 1988, I've never heard of them. From the K-League, presumably, and that's excellent stuff. I hope he's a big success. Burnley have done a ton. But let's talk about the main rivals for Liverpool. Chelsea, they've signed Dario Esugo from Sporting. I don't know who he is. Esteval from Palmeiras, who apparently is brilliant, but I know nothing about him really. But he comes with a huge reputation.
He could be one of those players that they will develop a little bit and sell him on for the future to keep the finances ticking over.
Absolutely, yeah, it could be. So yeah, we'll see if he features this season. I don't know, maybe some kind of wonder kid. Liam Delap, who's a very good player in my opinion. Mamadou Sarr from Strasbourg. They've let go Kepa, who we've already talked about. And they brought in Joao Pedro and Jamie Gittins from Dortmund. These are two big signings for them. And then they've sent out Joao Felix to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. And they brought in one more player, Jesse Derry from Crystal Palace. So the main ones, of course, are Pedro, Gittins and Delap. Joao Pedro did really well in the Club World Cup. He looked like an amazing player. Liam Delap, I think he's got incredible talent. And yeah, Joao Pedro. What do you think? Is he because they've been missing a number 9 since Diego Carlos left, right? Or is that his name? But they have Joao Pedro now. And he's in lots of people's fantasy football team. He looks like he could be the kind of number 9 that they need. But for me, their problems are in defence, and they haven't really fixed that. They haven't really signed
and goalkeeper,
top defender, and goalkeeper as well. Yeah, Robert Sanchez doesn't really cut it for you either. Okay.
No, I think having those good discussions with Chelsea fans, they regularly go on about how many points they've lost directly because of an error that Sanchez has made, and that could have been the difference between another, say, 7 to 10 more points, and it would have made the league table look a lot different if they had those points. So I feel as though they spent a lot of money on attack, but they're probably not strengthened enough at the back. And I think that's going to be their downfall. Pedro surprised me. I didn't think he'd be as good as he was. Yes, we've only seen a snippet of him in a blue shirt. But from the last season's games, I didn't think he'd be able to step up to this level. So it's yet to be seen. There was a lot of expectation and hope on Nkunku and Nicholas Jackson when they first came in as well. And that didn't obviously work out. So I don't know what to make. Chelsea are very hit and miss. They buy great strikers, whether it's who's the Spanish centre forward that they had that went back, I forgot his name now. So to Atletico,
Fernando Torres.
No, him as well. Yeah, he was from back as them. So they've had lots of strikers. It might work, it might not. I don't know how many times has have they paid a lot of money for a striker and 1-2 seasons later they've sold him again.
Yeah, going back to Shevchenko all those years ago. Yeah, strikers do tend to flop there. Absolutely. Drogba and Diego Carlos were the last good ones. But Joao Pedro, I mean, his stats, if you compare them to Noni Madueke's, he's good at more than one thing. He's very good at progressive passing. He's very good at progressive carries. He's very good at taking people on. Good at attempted passes. So that's a good sign because he, as a number 9, he really gets involved in the play. He's good at interceptions, really, really good. 95th percentile for interceptions. So his sort of reading of the game and the way that he's able to press is very exciting. I really liked Joao Pedro. I thought he was someone that we could look at. Same with Same with Liam Delap as well. I mean, I'll bring up a scouting report for Liam Delap, because this is a guy who's got a great finishing, and of course you have to bear in mind that his stats were in an Ipswich team. But again, being English, he's only really good in the stats in one thing: successful take-ons.
Right.
So again, my theory stands up. But last season he got 12 goals, was it, in the Premier League for Ipswich, which is extraordinary going, really, for a young player. He's only 22 years old. So yeah, so that's Chelsea. Go on.
I've got a list of so some Chelsea strikers. So Ramadal Falcao, Carlton Cole, Mutu, Kezman, Higuain, Lukaku, Loic Remy, Demba Ba, Shevchenko, Michel Batshuayi, Alvaro Morata was the one that I was thinking of. So these are all big, and that's not even worse. I think, let me load up the second page.
These names, man, coming back. Loic Remy, wow, I forgot he was at Chelsea.
Even like Samuel Eto'o, Crespo, Torres, you mentioned, Tammy Abraham, and then the rest are pretty decent. So there's some big name flops there, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a graveyard for some great players. I mean, Samuel Eto'o, I forgot he was there. What a fantastic player. One of the best players Africa has ever produced. Absolutely incredible. But yeah, let's move on then. Let's move on. Enough about Chelsea. Hopefully they won't tip us to the league or anything like that. Man City have got a good chance though. They've brought in big signings: Ryan Ait-Nouri from Wolves, the left back; Bettinelli from Chelsea; Ryan Cherki and Reinders. They're the two big ones in midfield, and of course James Trafford from Burnley. So they, again, defensively, goalkeeper, that's the worry for Man City. Edison showed last year that he's not good enough, in my opinion. They the guy who's going out to Burnley, Kyle Walker, he was a massive player for them, bailing them out time and time again. He was the bucket for Manchester City, bailing out the water from the boat. And it seems like they're a bit of a sinking ship. But then, attacking wise, bringing in Cherki, man. I live in France. I teach English in the football industry here. People have been talking about him for as long as I've been here, basically since he was like 14, 15, as the great hope of French football going forward. And he's going to prove it this season. He's an incredible talent. I can't believe he's 6.5 million on FPL. It's got to be a mistake. I mean, Pep being Pep, he might not play him because he's Pep, and he didn't play Phil Foden either. But if he's got any sense whatsoever, then he'll sell Jack Grealish and he'll bring in Cherki in his place, or just find a way to crowbar Cherki into the team, because he was brilliant for Lyon last season, and he's just an incredible talent. I mean, do you think Man City have? I think they've strengthened from last season. I expect this team to get at least 85 points.
100%. I mean, they're a juggernaut team anyway, and you talk about Kyle Walker and how much you build them up, but they've regularly in the past have let go of big influence players one by one, and the team still survived and went on from strength to strength, whereas Vincent Kompany, Fernandinho, Yaya Toure, David Silva, huge players that have walked, Sergio Aguero, and Kyle Walker is the latest one of those, and they've always still managed to carry on. So I think that's just natural evolution of a club. I don't think they'll miss Kyle Walker that much. But the players that they brought in are clever players, are smart players, and I think they're going to be back at their best. It'd be interesting to see where the leadership comes from with Rodri back. Is he still going to be the same player? And who are the natural leaders? They've still got John Stones there. I don't know how much Edison will play. And if you can call Haaland a leader, I mean, you possibly can with what he provides to the team. There's some great players there. So I think they'll be our biggest title contenders.
Yeah, I agree. City, Arsenal, and Chelsea, they're the three that will be closest to us. But let's get back to talk about Liverpool before we finish. Just the August that we have coming up. 2 games against Athletic in the friendlies tomorrow, and then the 10th of August next week. Hola.
I want to ask you,
Liverpool-
Owen, are you
Go on.
worried that in pre-season, apart from Milan, we haven't really played any big teams?
Yes, I am worried, and I think that we
It's a
would
bit
be
surprising.
better off. I mean, there are two sides to this, though, because it was brilliant commercially to go to Asia, of course, and that's really good with a new kit coming out. I think we'll generate millions, and that's only going to help the club. But nobody got injured. That's a positive. That's a real positive, because we played on two very dodgy pitches compared to Premier League pitches, and we came back unscathed, relatively unscathed, apart from Joe Gomez, of course, which doesn't look like it was a problem with the pitch. It's just an Achilles problem with Joe Gomez's body, and I hope he gets well soon. So yeah, that's a positive. But yeah, I'm worried. I would have wanted more friendlies. But I mean, the Community Shield is a friendly as well against Palace. It's one of those ones where I'm very happy if we win. I call it a trophy if we win. And if we lose, then it's just a meaningless friendly.
Yeah.
AR in the comments on YouTube saying Gomez got injured. Yes, he did get injured, but I don't think it was down to the pitch. That's what I was saying. But welcome, AR. Welcome into the stream. You're very welcome. So yeah, looking at these matches then, August, we've got Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Newcastle and Arsenal. I mean, they're four tasty games, really, for different reasons. What do you reckon? I don't know, for all of them. Let's start with Crystal Palace. Any thoughts for next week? Community Shield? Are we ready?
I think we're ready. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of emotion on that pitch with all the fans there with Jota. And so with the Anfield game as well, the week after. But I think we're ready. We're ready as ever be, but I think what you say is if we lose, it's not a big deal. I think we just need to iron out those defensive and those counter break opportunities against us. I think we need to work on those. Crystal Palace, although it's a big game and it's still considered as a friendly, if we need work to do, it doesn't give us a lot of time to remedy and fix some of those things. That's something I'm worried about. And how much time with them, if we do get another player like Mark Gay or Isak, they don't have a lot of bedding in time to learn some of our tactics and drills. But I think we're in a good place. So I think that would be a showcase for Liverpool to show how good these signings are. And it'd be great to see what Wirtz do, especially if Wirtz and Salah and Ekatike all start clicking.
Absolutely. Gary Richards says one always wants to win at Anfield South. Yes, one does. One does indeed. And Gay, he can let a goal in or so for Liverpool just before he signs, maybe by the end of the month. Who knows? But yeah, I think Wirtz is so exciting, and Ekatike, we'll see how it goes. But no, I think it's going to be great just to watch us go. And then we're playing Bournemouth, the opener. What do you think?
Tough game. Bournemouth are a little bit unpredictable. They lost some players, but they all show up. They've got a very good style of playing football. I think it comes down to how much do we want it. I think that will be an emotionally charged night, and I think the fans will be singing loud, and I think all of Anfield will be behind us. It's an evening kickoff, so it'll be like one of the European nights, and I think there'll be a lot of emotion riding. So I think they'd want to do it for Jota, and I think that'll be a great way to start off the campaign at Anfield. I think that's going to be a win. I think not for footballing reasons, but for the emotional reasons, I think we'll get through.
It was 1 month ago today. How are you doing, Robin, with the whole Diogo Jota thing and processing it and dealing with your particular grief? Because for me, it's still, obviously it's going to take a long time, but how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. What's shocking about this, we've heard of player deaths in the past and great players have passed on, and we haven't had many big name players like this in the prime of their career have suddenly just disappeared. And I think that's the shock of it all, and especially after being so successful with club and country, and he started his new life with his family. It's such a tragic way just to all come crashing down. And he was a very likable guy. Wherever he goes, very likable. So it is tough. And I think if anything, with the Liverpool community, any kind of travesty or tragic or trauma, there's a community and there's a base there that people pull together, and I think that's what makes one of the best clubs in the world, because we support each other. And I think Jota, he's going to be missed. The fans and club will always remember him, and they remember him through songs and through the way that we play. And I think I just wish his family all the best, because he'll feel the love. The family will feel the love for this season. They'll see that, and rightly so.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's going to be hugely emotional, that game. And hopefully, we can, there's no pressure on the players, though, to do it for Diogo and all that stuff, I don't think, because it's, they'll have that, but they'll put that pressure on themselves.
Yeah, I think they will.
Of course they will, but go on.
Do you know, I bought my daughters, I bought them a jersey, Liverpool jersey. And usually when we buy them every couple of years, right? So they might talk about what name and number do they want. Is it Salah? Is it Gerrard? Is it whoever else it may be, right? This year, both of them, without question, they both wanted Diogo Jota. Diogo Jota wasn't their favourite player. It was one of their favourite players, but it was not even a question. That's the one that I want. So that was pretty nice.
No, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Speaking of daughters, before we talk about the other fixtures that are coming up, Dominic Soboslai has a daughter, brand new baby who's just born. So congratulations to Dom. Put a photo out on his social media. I've got it right here. You can see it, viewers, and Robin as well. He got this lovely photo that he put on his socials saying, "Your birth means the world to me." And it really does, doesn't it, Robin? When you have children, as you know, I was lucky enough to have my son born 2 years ago, and you've got a couple of daughters yourself, and it's just a magical feeling. And so Dom hopefully will be inspired this season by that. I'm sure he will be, to be honest, if he's not too knackered. And
the Curtis Jones effect, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. So after Bournemouth, and Bournemouth, I think they're going to miss Dean Hussein or Hussein, or however you pronounce it, who's gone. I didn't realize he's a Spanish international as well, which is quite interesting. I'm not sure, he must have a mixed family history, but which is great. And so they're going to miss him hopefully. But Zubani is really good, and they've got loads of great players: Kluivert, Semenyo. Nobody knows them as well as Richard Hughes, who kind of assembled that squad, the entire squad. But it goes to show what a brilliant job Richard Hughes did. That Bournemouth coming to Anfield are, it's not that we're fearing them, but we certainly respect them a lot. And that's
it's funny. Our first three games could be the Mark Gay derby, the Kirkus derby, and the Isak derby.
Yes, exactly. And then Arsenal. Who, I don't know, Sterling already gave us the guard of honour at the end of last season. But Newcastle away and then Arsenal at home. I'm very, very, very glad in one aspect for the Isak drama, because if Isak, assuming that Isak doesn't make up with Newcastle, piss and make up and get back in the squad and then is fit to play Liverpool on the 25th of August, then I'd be worried, to be honest. But presumably this saga is going to rumble on, and he hasn't had a pre-season, so he's going to be unfit. And so and of course the Geordies that have been going away, the home crowd, the Geordie crowd, the famous Geordie crowd, is going to be extremely hostile towards Liverpool, and their whole team's going to be really, really up for it. But if we can get the first goal, we've got a much better team than Newcastle. Šeško or no Šeško, I think that's a winnable game. And then Arsenal finally on the 31st of August, the end of the month. Liverpool, Arsenal. I'm glad it's at home, the first one. You've got to play every team twice, but this is, I think, with Gyökeres just gently easing into the team. Arsenal, it might be a much better thing to play them first early in the season, because if we win, then let's be optimistic, we could win that match. Then it's a big blow to Arsenal. Like I said, this rice paper thin confidence that they may or may not have coming into this going into this season, I mean, it's good to sort of, pour a glass of water on that paper, make it soggy. I don't know, Robin, what do you reckon to those two games? Newcastle away and Arsenal at home, and then we'll call it quits for this stream. But
I
thank
think
you so much.
It will test us, and I think if we want to be champions, we've got to play like champions and beat whichever teams around. Having Arsenal game at home, I think it's important because I think momentum is also important when you pick up these points. So if you can get on an unbeaten run for 6 matches, that pushes to 7 matches, and it helps you to propel forward. I know there's a few seasons like we went up to as far as October and November that we have been undefeated, and even last season with that single loss to Southampton. But apart from that, it was a very solid start to the Premier League. And I think that carries you, and that momentum that carries you forward. Arne Slots mentioned that the first time he actually thought and realised that this team has the potential to be champions was against the United game when we beat them last season 3-0. And that was fairly early on as well. So he's setting those markers down to remind themselves that actually we're the teams that's going to be chased. So if we need to beat the teams of like Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea, City, we need to do our business. And being at Anfield seems like a stronger start for us. I'd rather have that. But I wouldn't like to have, I haven't seen the fixture tape, I wouldn't like to have the Emirates game too close to the final and at the end of the season. Even though last year it was a dead rubber, it didn't matter anymore. I didn't want the Emirates game to be a 6-pointer. I would have liked it to be done and dusted by then, or enough time if we did have a blip that we can recover. But yeah, I think getting off to a great start will help the new players bed in and give them the confidence that they belong there.
Excellent stuff. I'm just going to go through a couple of comments. Polo Mint is in the chat, says, hi friends. Hello, Polo Mint. Welcome. It says, hi, Robin and Owen too. And Polo Mint says, is that friendly at 9 p.m. or am I seeing things? No, it is 9 p.m. That was the second friendly because we're actually playing one at 6 p.m. as well. 2 games in a row. Value for money if you're at Anfield that day. And Bongo O'Malley says, I can understand the worry about centre-half, but I'm really quite zen about it. There's such a need there that there's no way that Slot, Edwards and Hughes haven't got something up their sleeves. There you go, Bongo. You've got the wisdom there. The wisdom of the ages, absolutely. In Edwards and Hughes and Slot, we trust. I don't have a tattoo yet, but I'm considering a Richard Hughes one. It's absolutely marvellous. So just one final question for you, Robin, okay? Apart from Virgil and Ibu, given our lack of options at centre-back, if you can choose one player who will be guaranteed to avoid injury and able to play 90 minutes in all 38 Premier League games this season, who are you picking?
All 38 games.
They're going to play all 38 games. They're going to be fully fit all season, ready to go, given 100% fitness every single game.
And not Konate and Van Dijk.
Not Konate and Van Dijk, because if we lose one of them, then we're screwed because we haven't got cover.
I think it's probably Mo Salah.
Okay.
Machina Mo Salah. He doesn't like missing many matches. Last season, I don't think he had hardly any injuries, if he did have any. So I think he looks after himself. He'll obviously be gone for the African Nations Cup, but he's in such good shape that we like to think he's the best primed for that to do the whole season.
I mean, he is a very good answer, but I'm going to say McAllister. Because I think there are two Liverpools. There's the Liverpool with McAllister and Liverpool without McAllister. And even in the last friendly against Yokohama, we were all over the place. And then McAllister came on and we settled down. We got 2 extra goals and everyone was like, oh, well done, Tradioni. Well done, Frimpong for the cross. Well done to Rio for scoring a goal. But no one's like, well, the impact of McAllister off the bench.
He has a calming effect on the team, doesn't he?
Exactly. And he does so many things that Xabi Alonso used to do in midfield, which is just receive the ball, play a 5-yard, 10-yard vertical pass on the floor, right into the path of somebody in space, or choosing not to make that pass and then turning around and giving it to someone else. So simple on paper, but so few midfielders are able to truly master that art, and he's really done it. So for me, if I could save one player, because I think Mo Salah is a great answer, but I think with Wirtz we've got the creativity to, you know, I don't know, to not replace Mo Salah's goals and assists, but to go some way towards replacing it. And I just think the whole team works better with McAllister. But anyway,
yeah.
Thank you so
I
much.
misunderstood you. I thought which player you thought I was predicting not to be injured.
Oh, excuse me. Okay,
So,
no, who could you choose? Sorry, now you
who would
understand
I
the
choose?
question.
I understand that. So who would I choose not to miss a single minute of the game? Gotcha. All right. Yeah, McAllister's a great shot. I also put Gravenberch up there as well. So when he was on form, he was dynamic in that midfield. He made that transition from defense to attack very, very smooth, and he snuffed out a lot of the dangers. So that he was key for us as well. You're right. The goals that Salah gave us won us the title, and we can't deny that. But this season, it seems like that responsibility will be shared about with a few more people. But the midfield duo of McAllister and Gravenberch, I think, are key to for us to be having that balance between defense and attack.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Gravenberch, good choice, because as you said, we don't have cover for him either. Is there anything we've missed, Robin? Anything you would like to add, or is that all good news? Everything's wrapped up for you?
We could talk about Liverpool for hours, you know that, Owen, right?
Absolutely.
So you know that's exciting time. I'm can't wait to get the season started. One thing I'm a bit surprised by us as though is that here we've had probably the best transfer window ever we've had in my recent memory, and it doesn't seem like it's finished yet. Whether we get Isak done, Gay done, another midfielder, who knows, right? But we look at all the players that have all come in and have been talked about. They're all top quality first team players, not squad players or cannon fodders. It's first team players that can comfortably fit into the first 11. And we've done this on the back of a squad that was better by miles than anybody else. So the team that won the title, Arsenal and Man City, they couldn't come close to that. And we've gone and strengthened in quality and depth. And we still feel as though we need more. So we're very, very selfish for wanting more. But you can see that we've all identified how we can improve. And it's quite nice that what us, the fans, feel as though we should be doing is being matched by the club. All the things that we've been saying, we need the players and those kind of positions. There seems to be that synchronicity with the club and us that actually they're doing what we want. So it all fits really well, and that I'm really enjoying. Because in the past, sometimes we'll be screaming about why are we getting this kind of player, or why are we not getting an attacker, why are we not getting midfielder. Apart from the centre-back option for this year that we've all spoken about, it seems that everyone else is the kind of player that we need. And it's nice that the club have gone forward to not just future-proof Alisson, they're future-proofing Alisson's backup as well. So they're really, really thinking ahead of the future. And Hogan has mentioned that Liverpool want to act like a big club. They don't want to just win titles and be surprised by it. They want to act like a big club. So that means going out and getting the best players out there. And I think we've wanted that for a long, long time. When we were linked to Mbappe a few years ago, it felt like a pipe dream. That would never happen. But we're now in the place where actually we are going to go and get some of the world's best players. And why not? And they want to come to us as well. And that's a nice place to be at.
They certainly do, and it's a wonderful place to end it. And on that tantalizing thought, on that happy thought, on that, yeah, I mean, from where FSG picked us up, from that gutter to where we are now, looking at the stars in the rocket, in the stratosphere already. It's a beautiful place to be. Can we break through the gravitational field and really soar away into the distance, into infinity? Time will tell. But Robin, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you so much to everybody on YouTube and on TikTok. We've had Mohammed here, we've had Sophia, we've had all kinds of people popping in and out on TikTok. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. And to any audio listeners that there are, I just hope that everyone's doing all right. Get in touch, koponpodcast@gmail.com. If you can, I really want to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube. That's a particular goal. So subscribe, even if you're not going to, if you can, take a moment to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So, yeah, we'll see you soon. You'll never walk alone. Bye-bye.
Bye.